the grid went down tomorrow, how long would your food supply actually last? For most families, the honest answer is maybe 3 to 5 days, a week if you're lucky. That's not nearly enough. But here's the thing. While most people are ignoring the warning signs, smart preppers across the country are quietly building food stockpiles that could sustain their families for months, even years. And they're not just throwing random cans into a basement. They're focusing on 8 specific survival foods that check every box: long shelf life, nutritional value, versatility, and ease of storage. In this video, I'm going to reveal exactly what these 8 foods are, why they matter so much, and how you can start building your own survival pantry today. You'll learn which food can last literally thousands of years, which one provides complete protein without refrigeration, and which staple tops the list as the ultimate survival food every prepper swears by. Welcome to Food Decider, where we help you make smart, informed decisions about food security and preparedness. If you find this information valuable, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss critical content like this. Now let's dive in, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what you need to survive when everything else goes dark. Before we count down these 8 essential foods, we need to understand what actually makes a food worthy of your survival pantry. Not every food belongs there, and the difference could mean life or death in a real emergency. The best survival foods share 4 critical traits. First, they have a long shelf life. We're talking years, not months. They can sit on a shelf without refrigeration and still be safe to eat when you need them most. Second, they're nutritionally dense. In a crisis, you need foods that provide essential macronutrients like protein, carbs, and fats, plus vital micronutrients like vitamins and minerals. Empty calories won't cut it when you're trying to maintain strength and health. Third, versatility matters more than you might think. A food that can only be used one way gets boring fast, and menu fatigue is a real problem in long-term survival scenarios. You want foods that can be transformed into different meals and combined with other ingredients. And fourth, they need to be easy to store and prepare. If a food requires constant temperature control or complex cooking methods, it's not practical when resources are limited. With these criteria in mind, let's start our countdown at number 8. Freeze-dried meals have gone from military rations and hardcore camping gear to mainstream survival essentials. Walk into any prepper's pantry today and you'll find stacks of shiny Mylar pouches promising everything from beef stroganoff to pasta primavera to hearty chili, and all they need is a cup of boiling water. What makes freeze-dried meals so valuable? The shelf life is unmatched. We're talking 20 to 30 years if stored properly. You could buy these meals today, forget about them completely, and your grandchildren could eat them safely decades from now. That's not an exaggeration. That's the power of modern food preservation technology. But it's not just about longevity, it's about morale. In a crisis situation, being able to sit down to a warm, well-seasoned, flavorful meal does something to the human spirit that beans and rice just can't match. These meals offer variety and comfort when everything around you feels chaotic and uncertain. They taste good, they're satisfying, and they remind you of normalcy. There's also the portability factor. Freeze-dried meals are incredibly lightweight and compact. A week's worth of meals can fit in a small backpack, making them perfect for bug-out bags and emergency evacuation kits. You need to leave your home quickly, you can carry substantial nutrition without weighing yourself down. Now, freeze-dried meals aren't cheap, and they're not meant for everyday use. Think of them as insurance. They're your strategic backup for when you need a complete meal fast, when cooking resources are limited, or when you just need that morale boost to keep going. Popular brands like Mountain House, ReadyWise, and Algoson Farms have built solid reputations among the prepper community. The key is to buy in bulk before prices rise, and they always do during crises, and store them in a cool, dry place. Treat them as supplements to your core pantry, not replacements. When everything else is exhausted, or when you need something comforting and calorie-dense in a hurry, that's when freeze-dried meals shine. Coming in at number 2, and this might surprise you because it seems so ordinary, is instant rice and pasta. These humble staples are the foundation of countless survival pantries, and for good reason. Here's why they matter so much. Rice and pasta are your primary sources of carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are your body's main fuel source. When you're in survival mode, dealing with stress, potentially doing physical labor, staying warm, or just trying to function day to day, you need calories, lots of them. And rice and pasta deliver those calories efficiently and affordably. The shelf life is impressive when stored correctly. We're talking 5 years or more in proper conditions. Airtight containers, cool temperatures, away from moisture. Some preppers report even longer with the right storage techniques, like Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. But the real advantage is preparation time. Instant rice and pasta are ready in less than 10 minutes with just boiling water. In a scenario where fuel might be scarce or you need to eat quickly, this speed matters tremendously. You're not soaking beans overnight or slow cooking grains for hours. You're getting hot, filling food fast. The versatility is another huge plus. Rice and pasta aren't meant to be eaten alone. They're the base that you build meals around. Pair them with canned meats and you've got a protein-rich dish. Mix in canned vegetables or soups and you've got variety. Add beans and you've created a complete protein. They stretch your food supply and feed more people with fewer resources. Buy these in bulk. Store them properly in food-grade buckets or sealed containers with oxygen absorbers. Use them as the foundation for stir-fries, casseroles, soups, pasta salads, and side dishes. The more you have, the more options you create for yourself. And when you're combining instant rice or pasta with the other foods on this list, you're building complete, satisfying meals that can sustain you through extended emergencies. At number 5, we have canned soups and stews. Now I know what you're thinking, canned soup doesn't sound very exciting, but in a survival scenario, these humble cans become absolute lifesavers. Here's what makes them so valuable. They're complete meals in a single container. Open a can of beef stew and you've got protein, carbohydrates, vegetables, fats, and seasonings all in one place. Open a can of chili and you're looking at 350 to 400 calories and 15 to 20 grams of protein. That's substantial nutrition with zero preparation required. The shelf life on canned soups and stews typically runs 3 to 5 years, and sometimes they last even longer, up to a decade in ideal conditions. They don't need refrigeration, they stack efficiently for storage, and the cans themselves are rugged enough to withstand rough handling if you need to transport them. But beyond the practical considerations, there's a psychological element that can't be ignored. Hot, familiar meals provide comfort during stressful times. When you're worried, scared, exhausted, or uncertain about the future, sitting down to a warm bowl of chicken noodle soup or hearty vegetable stew does something for your spirit. It provides hope. It reminds you that things can still be okay. Now, a lot of people worry about the sodium content in canned soups. Here's the reality. In a true survival scenario, salt isn't your enemy. It actually helps with hydration and electrolyte balance, especially if you're dealing with physical exertion or stress. So don't let sodium concerns stop you from stocking these. Stock a variety: beef stew, chicken noodle soup, chili, vegetable soup, minestrone. Different flavors prevent menu fatigue and give you options depending on your mood and needs. Rotate your stock regularly and check expiration dates, but don't obsess over them. Canned goods often remain safe and edible well beyond their printed dates. In an emergency, you can eat these straight from the can if necessary. No heating required, though obviously a hot meal is preferable when possible. That flexibility makes canned soups and stews essential for any serious survival pantry. Now let's talk about protein, because maintaining muscle mass, energy levels, and overall health in a crisis depends heavily on adequate protein intake. At number 7, we have dried beans, the nutritional powerhouse that preppers have relied on for generations. Dried beans might not look like much sitting on a shelf, but they're absolute gold. They're cheap, lightweight, packed with nutrients, and they last. Properly stored in food-grade buckets with oxygen absorbers, dried beans can last up to 10 years. Some preppers claim even longer with perfect conditions. The nutritional profile is impressive. Beans are rich in protein, fiber, complex carbohydrates, iron, and magnesium. But here's the kicker. When you pair beans with rice, you create a complete protein. Together, they provide all 9 essential amino acids your body needs. This combination has sustained entire civilizations throughout history, and it can sustain you too. The variety is another advantage. Black beans, pinto beans, navy beans, kidney beans, lentils, chickpeas, mung beans. Each type offers different flavors, textures, and uses. You can rotate through them to keep meals interesting and avoid that dreaded menu fatigue. And there's one more survival trick that many people don't know about: sprouting. In an emergency situation where fresh vegetables aren't available, you can sprout beans to create fresh greens. Sprouted beans add vital nutrients to your diet and provide that fresh crunch and flavor you'd otherwise be missing. To maximize their value, buy beans in bulk from warehouse stores or online suppliers. Store them in sealed containers with oxygen absorbers to prevent insect infestation and oxidation. Practice rotating your stock. Use the oldest first and replace what you use. And before you need them in an emergency, experiment with cooking different types. Learn how to soak them properly to reduce cooking time and improve digestibility.
Use them in soups, stews, salads, casseroles, and side dishes. Dried beans are one of the most cost-effective survival foods you can stockpile. For the money, the nutrition, and the versatility they provide, they absolutely deserve a place in your pantry. At number 3, we arrive at canned meats, the protein lifeline that becomes essential when fresh meat is no longer an option. We're talking about Spam, tuna, chicken, beef, salmon, and other preserved meats that provide critical nutrition without refrigeration. Protein is non-negotiable in survival scenarios. Your body needs it to maintain muscle mass, support immune function, aid in recovery from illness or injury, and provide sustained energy. When you're under stress, physically or mentally, protein becomes even more critical. Canned meats deliver high-quality protein in shelf-stable form. Most varieties last several years without refrigeration, and the canning process preserves both nutrition and flavor remarkably well. The best part, they're ready to eat right out of the can. No cooking required. Open it and eat it, or add it to other dishes to boost protein content.
The versatility is outstanding. Canned tuna goes into salads, pasta dishes, casseroles, and sandwiches. Canned chicken works in soups, rice bowls, wraps, and salads. Spam, love it or hate it, can be fried, baked, diced into fried rice, or eaten straight from the can. Canned beef adds substance to stews and chilies. There's also a morale factor at play here. Familiar foods boost spirits during tough times. For many people, canned meats represent normalcy, foods they've eaten throughout their lives. That psychological comfort shouldn't be underestimated when everything else feels uncertain. Stock a variety of canned meats to cover different uses and taste preferences. Store them in a cool, dry place and rotate your stock regularly to ensure freshness. Use them as a protein base for complete meals or, in emergencies, eat them straight from the can when cooking isn't possible. One often overlooked tip, don't drain the liquid from canned meats unless you have to. That liquid contains flavor, nutrients, and fat, all valuable in survival situations. Use it in soups, gravies, or rice dishes to boost both nutrition and taste. We've reached the top of our countdown, and the number one survival food that smart preppers are stockpiling might surprise some of you, but once you understand why, it'll make perfect sense. The ultimate survival food is powdered eggs. Powdered eggs are game changers for long-term food security, and here's why they claim the top spot. First, they provide complete protein. We're talking about all 9 essential amino acids your body needs but can't produce on its own. This makes powdered eggs comparable to fresh eggs in terms of protein quality, something most survival foods can't claim. The shelf life is phenomenal. Properly stored in sealed, airtight containers in cool, dry conditions, powdered eggs last 5 to 10 years. Some manufacturers claim even longer. That's a decade of protein security sitting on your shelf, taking up minimal space, requiring zero refrigeration. The preparation is incredibly simple. Just add water. Want scrambled eggs? Add water, mix, and cook. Need eggs for baking? Reconstitute the powder and use it exactly like fresh eggs. Making an omelet? Same process. This simplicity matters when you're dealing with limited resources and potentially stressful circumstances. But the versatility extends far beyond breakfast. Powdered eggs can be added to baked goods like bread, muffins, and pancakes. They boost protein content in casseroles, soups, and meatloaf. They bind ingredients together in patties and burgers. They thicken sauces and gravies. Essentially, anywhere you'd use fresh eggs, you can use powdered eggs, and they'll be available when fresh eggs aren't. The no refrigeration requirement is what really pushes powdered eggs to the top. In a grid-down scenario where electricity is gone and refrigeration is impossible, fresh eggs become a luxury you can't maintain. But powdered eggs? They sit happily on your shelf, ready whenever you need them. Buy powdered eggs in sealed containers from reputable brands. Store them in the coolest, driest place you have. Once opened, they'll last several months if kept properly sealed. Experiment with them now before you need them in an emergency. Learn how much powder to use, what ratios work best for different recipes, and how to season them to match your taste preferences. Rotate your stock and use them in everyday cooking to stay familiar with them. The last thing you want to be is learning how to use a new ingredient during a crisis. Make them part of your regular rotation now, and they'll be second nature when you need them most. Powdered eggs represent the perfect intersection of nutrition, longevity, versatility, and practicality. That's why they top the list as the number one survival food every serious prepper should have in their pantry. Now that you know the 8 essential survival foods,
let's talk about the critical element that determines whether these foods actually save you or just take up space: proper storage. Storage isn't complicated, but it does require attention to detail. The golden rule is simple: cool, dry, and dark. These three conditions maximize shelf life across all the foods we've discussed. Heat accelerates spoilage. Moisture invites mold and bacterial growth. Light degrades nutrients and affects quality. Find the coolest, driest, darkest space in your home: a basement corner, an interior closet, under beds, in a pantry, and that's where your survival foods belong. Invest in proper containers. Food-grade buckets with Gamma Seal lids are excellent for bulk storage of beans, rice, and pasta. Mylar bags create an additional barrier against moisture and light. Oxygen absorbers remove the oxygen that bacteria and insects need to survive, dramatically extending shelf life. For smaller quantities, airtight plastic or glass containers work well for items like powdered milk and eggs. Practice rotation religiously. Use the first in, first out principle. When you buy new supplies, put them at the back of your storage area and pull from the front. This ensures you're always using the oldest items first, preventing waste and keeping your stock fresh. Mark everything clearly with purchase dates and expiration dates. A simple label maker or permanent marker can save you from confusion later. Temperature control matters more than most people realize. Every 10 degrees Fahrenheit increase in temperature can cut shelf life in half. If possible, maintain storage temperatures between 50 and 70 degrees. Avoid attics, which get too hot in summer, and uninsulated garages, which experience temperature extremes. But storage is only half the equation. Building a truly effective survival pantry requires balancing nutrition with morale, variety with practicality. Survival isn't just about staying alive. It's about maintaining health, both physical and mental.
That means you need balanced nutrition across all your stockpiled foods. Make sure you're covering proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, and minerals. The 8 foods we've covered provide an excellent foundation, but consider supplementing with canned or dehydrated fruits and vegetables to round out your nutrition. Menu fatigue is a real problem in long-term scenarios. Eating the same thing day after day breaks down morale and can even lead to people refusing to eat adequate amounts. Stock variety. Include different flavors, textures, and meal types. Keep some comfort foods and familiar favorites. A little chocolate, some coffee, spices, and seasonings. These things matter psychologically. Think in terms of meal planning, not just individual foods. Can you combine your stockpiled items into actual meals people will want to eat? Practice now. Create recipes using your survival foods. Make a pot of chili using canned meats, beans, and rice. Bake bread using powdered eggs and milk. The more comfortable you are using these foods in everyday cooking, the more capable you'll be in an emergency. Consider your family's specific needs. Do you have young children who need certain nutrients? Elderly family members with dietary restrictions? Medical conditions that require particular foods? Allergies to accommodate? Your survival pantry should reflect your household's reality, not some generic list. If possible, supplement your pantry with fresh options, even in emergencies. Sprouting beans gives you fresh greens. Growing microgreens indoors requires minimal space and provides fresh nutrition. If you have any outdoor space, even a small container garden can provide fresh vegetables to complement your stored foods. Calculate how much you actually need. A common recommendation is 3 months of food per person at minimum, with many preppers aiming for 6 months to a year. Do the math. Figure out daily caloric needs, roughly 2,000 calories per adult per day. Multiply by the number of people in your household and the number of days you want to prepare for. That gives you a target to work toward. Don't try to do it all at once. Start small and build systematically. Each shopping trip, add a few extra cans or bags to your cart. Buy in bulk when you can afford it, especially when items go on sale. Over time, your pantry will grow from a few days' worth to weeks, then months of security. Here's the truth that many people don't want to face. The world is unpredictable. Natural disasters happen. Economic instability is real. Supply chains are fragile. We've seen it time and time again. Empty grocery store shelves, panic buying, people scrambling to find basic necessities when crisis hits. But your food supply doesn't have to be uncertain.
By intentionally stockpiling these 8 survival foods, freeze-dried meals, instant rice and pasta, canned soups and stews, dried beans, canned meats, powdered eggs, powdered milk, and honey, you build a pantry that's resilient, nutritious, and versatile. You create security for yourself and your family. This isn't about living in fear. It's the opposite. It's about peace of mind. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, whether it's a hurricane, a job loss, a pandemic, a power outage, or any other emergency, you have the resources to take care of the people you love. You're not dependent on systems that can fail. You're not at the mercy of circumstances beyond your control. Preparedness is empowerment. It's taking responsibility for your family's well-being. It's making smart decisions now so you don't face desperate situations later. Start building your survival pantry today. Begin with 1 or 2 items from this list. Add to it consistently, store it properly, learn to use these foods, and gradually, steadily, you'll create a buffer between your family and uncertainty. If you found this information valuable, hit that like button, subscribe to Food Decider so you never miss content that could literally save your life, and share this video with friends and family who need to hear this message. And drop a comment below telling me which survival food you're stockpiling first. The future is uncertain, but with the right preparation, you can face it with confidence. Thank you for watching, and remember, preparedness isn't paranoia, it's peace of mind.